Hello, everyone. This is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. This is questions and answers number 24. I look for your very interesting questions and sometimes comments and talk about them in an episode. Before we get started, just want to mention Patreon. We've got great support from the members on Patreon, and they get advanced videos without commercials on Sundays. And we can talk back and forth on Patreon. If you're interested, there'll be a link in the description. For those interested in private lessons with me to learn how to astral project or to improve your astral projection ability, I can help you increase your ability. I can help you start to astral project. We can release and remove fears, other blocks. We can discuss techniques in a custom guided meditation that will help you to develop techniques to use as you go to sleep at night to help start having astral projections. And also, if you are currently astral projecting, I can assist you in gaining more control over those projections and increasing the number of those projections. And if you're interested, there will be an email to contact me for more information in the description. The first questions come from the 5 Hacks to Max Your Astral Projections video. It just briefly talked about 5 different ways you can help to lengthen the time that you are on the astral plane. First question is from Giveaway. When you astral project in the present, how does time move in the physical for you? We've discussed some of this in the past, but a quick review. When one astral projects in the past, you usually have only a few minutes. And when you can't really change the past, and when you get back to your body, you'll find that more time has passed than what you think has. So maybe you spent 5 minutes in the past, but 20 minutes went by here in the present. Most astral projections happen more or less in the present time. So I think you'll find that it's pretty much a one-to-one situation. So 10 minutes on the astral plane is pretty much 10 minutes here on the physical plane. You really have very, very minute abilities to interact with the physical plane. I think I told the story once that I wanted to test my abilities, and I found that my electric stove was about a millimeter away from being turned off completely. So I exerted all of the power that I had to move it that 1 millimeter. And when I got back to my body, I was so exhausted I couldn't even go to work the next day. I felt like I was sick. So it took quite a lot of power to make that happen for a very, very minute ability. In the future, though, your ability to be seen and interact is present, so you can certainly affect possible futures. And time is very different. You could spend, in some cases, hours, days, weeks, months, and even years if you go far enough into various futures. Next up is number 2. Neorodicus asks, when astral projecting at night, do you wake up? Can you easily go back to sleep again? Most of my projections happen within the first hour of my going to bed. I find that that's easier to project because the level of your sleep is still very low. You haven't sunk to deep delta yet. And when you're just newly asleep, it's easier for your subconscious mind to put your body into the physically asleep situation and allow your mind or your conscious mind to awake and then therefore astral project. I programmed myself over the years to awake when I returned so that I could quickly read into my phone, or in the old days, notepads, what happened during my projection. Nowadays, I don't bother with that because I have a technique that I use to, I review the projection over and over again, and then I give myself the suggestion that as soon as I wake up and my feet hit the floor, that I'll remember everything that has occurred. But normally, yes, I can go back to sleep again to answer the last part of the question, unless it was an extremely exciting or an extremely traumatic astral projection, in which case it might be a little more difficult to fall back to sleep. Number 3, Kev Changu asks, how many times per week do you astral project? It varies widely. I find that I project more often as the moon is waxing, and certainly when it's full, and less often when it's waning. But I could have a week where I have a lot of projections, and certainly multiple ones during a night. And then I could have another week where I'll have none. A lot of it has to do with my own energy level, my own desire, and a number of other factors. So it varies pretty widely. Next up, we're looking at questions that were left for me in the Return to the Planet of the Greys video. Number 4 is Camus. Do the Greys come from the Zeta Reticuli star system? I have heard that theory. I don't know for sure. I know the Zeta Reticuli system is a binary star system, much like what I saw. However, binary systems aren't exactly rare in our galaxy. When I did research, I found that there's estimates anywhere from 30 to 85% of the star systems are binary. Now, a recent Universe Today article, which had footnotes and research, said that they estimate 50% of the star systems are binary star systems. So let's go with that figure, which means they're quite common, which also means that it's a little harder to tell exactly where the gray planet might be, because binary star systems aren't exactly rare in the Milky Way galaxy. Number 5, Multorum Unum asks, did your diplomatic visit change the Greys' opinion of humans? And perhaps that's why Ken was so friendly to you? Perhaps he certainly was aware of my visit, but I think Ken was just a very friendly type of person. It's interesting how we consider aliens as if they all have one personality, which reminds me of the old Star Trek, where the aliens always all dress the same and they all seem to have pretty much the same personality. I mean, why would that be? We humans certainly have different personalities. Now, I think the Greys are a little bit more interconnected than we are. But based on my interaction with Ken, I believe they certainly have individualized personalities. My comparison would be, let's say you lived somewhere where your only contact with Americans was American military people who were based near your town or village. You would have a certain opinion of Americans based on your interaction with the military. But then let's say you had a chance to come visit New York City or maybe a more friendly city. Sorry, New York City. But then you get a chance to interact with more friendly civilian type Americans. You might then have a very different opinion as to what Americans are like. So I think it's kind of hard to make generalizations, and it's easy for us to do that when we're talking about aliens. But I think in many cases they're a little bit more like us than we perhaps give them credit for. Number 7. Photios mentioned that Tesla, about 100 years ago, thought that by using Earth's magnetic field, he could generate wireless free energy. If you recall, the disaster that happened on the Gray's planet happened as a result of them using their planet's magnetic field for transportation, for energy purposes, and that in so doing, they destabilized their field, causing a planet wide ecological disaster that massively damaged their civilization, forced most of them and their whole civilization to go underground and to engage in cloning programs and travel into space due to problems that resulted from all this extra radiation. Our magnetic field here on Earth is weakening. We've been charting it now for quite a while. And there's some belief that perhaps there's going to be a pole switch. If that does happen in our lifetime, it's certainly going to cause some interesting challenges for us. But at any rate, our magnetic field is very valuable to our planet. It screens out all of these solar storms, coronal mass ejections that come our way. And we've been having quite a lot coming this way. And 2025 is looking to be a very interesting year. At any rate, we should be careful that we don't make the same mistakes that the Greys did on their planet. Number 8, Ann On asks, how long have the Greys existed on their planet, and did they have megacities like ours before they moved underground? I don't have a lot of information on this, and this is certainly related to the recent question. They were certainly there for many, many, many thousands of years. When I was talking with Ken, I got this deep time type of impression, but I don't have exact numbers of years. And certainly they had a very widespread civilization that was destroyed virtually when this disaster happened. Number 9, Henrik Adamian asked, how did the Greys see you when you were in your astral body? The Greys have that ability. I noticed that starting back in the late 80s when I first made contact with them. Certainly when you're in the lower astral, they can definitely see you. I've never really tested what their range was because I wanted to interact with them, so they saw me in the lower and I stayed in the lower. Dogs and cats have also seen me in the lower astral. So I think their breadth of vision is better than humans. I think they can see perhaps into the infrared, ultraviolet, and they're able to see people in certainly the lower astral, much like dogs and cats can as well. Now, the amphibians could not see me in the present. I had to go very far into the future in order to interact with them, much like I do here on Earth. And the Nordics, or Pleiadians, they could not see me when I visited their undersea base. So, based on my limited interaction with alien races, their grays seem to be a rather singular when it comes to being able to see in the lower astral bandwidth. Number 10, Enlightenment, Symbionic Titan, and Photios all ask if I remembered any of the cold fusion information. I expected those questions for obvious reasons. Keep in mind that all this information was thrown at me in the fraction of a second. It was highly, highly technical. As somebody who, was a business major, I just couldn't make a lot of sense of it to begin with. And I expect even our best earthly scientists would probably be challenged in a number of areas in trying to understand this information. So I was completely out of my depth there. My next concern, though, would be, on the one hand, cold fusion would certainly supply a huge amount of free and clean energy for our planet. A glass of water might generate enough power in a true cold fusion reactor to provide power for a city. But I have to wonder whether that same power might be perverted into some sort of weapon. It's great to light a city with a glass of water, but what if you could destroy a city with a glass of water? Not uranium, not plutonium, but a glass of water. So you see my obvious concern here. Now, Photios commented, it was quite an extensive comment, talking about that there's various theories that perhaps cold fusion energy would be the type of energy that might not be usable as a weapon, but no one knows for sure. So it's kind of up in the air. But one thing I do know for sure is that when it comes to humans, if we can make a weapon out of something, we always do. And we've got enough weapons right now. Do we really need a doomsday weapon that somebody with the technology and a glass of water could use? If so, I don't want anything to do with it, certainly. Number 11, Sirion asks, how did Ken visit Earth? Well, he told me that he came in a gray spacecraft. They have these motherships that travel to different star systems. And then they have the equivalent of smaller ships, I guess, much like, shuttlecraft, where you have small ships that can then go into the actual atmosphere of a planet and explore around. And that's what he did. He was part of some sort of a Earth mission survey where they surveyed the different ecosystems on Earth and the different diversity of life. And I described this last time in the video. They were looking for ways to be able to sexually reproduce again. And of course, they're always looking for ways to increase their radiation resistance. Number 12, I can't change my name. Ask, if you could sum up the entire gray race in 5 words, what would they be? I was at a complete loss to answer that question. But I did come up with 5 words for the human race, and here it is. Hairless apes with cool toys. There you go. Number 13. Do the Greys have other planets inhabited by them? Yes, they do. They have colonies that they have established. I don't know an awful lot. I learned that years ago, though. They're almost scientific type bases. I wouldn't say they took over a whole planet. They just established various bases on some other planets. And number 14, the traveler asked, do the Greys believe in an afterlife, karma, religion? I also don't know a lot about this, but I've asked in the past kind of tangential questions that touch upon these types of beliefs. And I didn't get a lot from the Greys on that. They seem to be a very logical, very scientific race. And I don't believe they have a lot of these type of beliefs. Now, they are certainly very attached to their planet and their home planet. And I get a sense that that attachment is very deep inside them and that they feel some sort of, in a broad sense, mystical relationship with their planet. But it's hard for me to really grasp and understand. I remember I saw it once in one of the Greys when they projected something to me, but it was hard for me to exactly understand. But that's about all I've got as far as that's concerned on any Grey religious beliefs. If you liked that video, why don't you hit the like button, share it with those of like minds. Subscribe if you haven't already. If you have, make sure that bell is working so that you get notifications. We have Wednesday videos that I post at 2 o'clock and the good old Saturday videos that happen at 8:15 in the morning. Please keep those questions and comments coming. They could very well end up on a future question and answer video. And as always, I'm Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.